If you've been wondering whether G.I. Joe still has a future on the big screen, the good news is that things are looking much brighter than some people might think. Because even though Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins didn't exactly blow audiences away when it came out in 2021, there's actually a bunch of exciting developments happening behind the scenes that make G.I. Joe 4 feel more and more likely. In fact, the franchise is not only sticking around, it's starting to grow in a whole new direction, thanks to some upcoming crossover projects with Transformers. And if those do well, it seems almost inevitable that the Joes will get another solo movie to keep the momentum going. Samara Weaving, who played Scarlet in Snake Eyes, recently gave a little update about her own role in the franchise. When asked in an interview whether she'd heard anything about more G.I. Joe movies, she admitted that she hadn't. She laughed about it, joked that she'd love to get a call for a solo Scarlet film, and made it clear that she had a great time stepping into the role, even describing how much fun it was putting on the red wig, wearing the combat gear, and leaping out of helicopters. So even though she hasn't heard anything yet, her enthusiasm shows she'd definitely be on board if Paramount gave her the chance to return. That's important, because having an actress like Weaving excited to continue is a good sign for the franchise. It means the door isn't closed, and it also highlights that there are fan-favorite characters who still haven't been given the spotlight they deserve. Scarlet is a perfect example. She's iconic in the G.I. Joe lore, but she's only had small appearances on film so far. So if G.I. Joe 4 moves forward, it would make a lot of sense to give her a much bigger role, maybe even leading the team this time around. Now, even though Weaving hasn't been officially told anything, we already know Paramount has big plans for the Joes. The 8th Transformers movie, set for release in 2024, has confirmed that it will feature a G.I. Joe crossover. That's a huge step, because it ties the Joes into one of Paramount's most profitable franchises. The last Transformers film, Rise of the Beasts, teased that connection in its final moments, with Noah Diaz being invited to join a mysterious special unit that was revealed to be G.I. Joe. That ending alone set the stage for more, and now we're getting confirmation that the Joes won't just be teased, they're going to show up. And it doesn't stop there. Not only is Transformers 8 bringing the Joes into the picture, but Paramount has also confirmed a separate live-action movie focused specifically on the crossover. This means we're not talking about a one-off cameo. The G.I. Joe team is being positioned as an important part of the shared universe. That's a smart move, because it gives them a chance to rebuild interest in the franchise by pairing them with a brand that's already been successful. If audiences get excited about the Joes again during the crossover films, Paramount can then springboard that momentum into G.I. Joe 4. Producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura recently explained how the crossover will work, and it sounds like they're being careful to get the balance right. He admitted he hesitates to use the word crossover because for him, it's not about smashing two franchises together equally. Instead, he sees it as placing the Joes inside the Transformers world, where they'll play a role without overshadowing the Autobots. It's more about blending the universes than forcing them to compete for the spotlight. That makes a lot of sense, because it allows the Joes to reestablish themselves while letting Transformers remain the central focus for now. But that doesn't mean G.I. Joe is being sidelined. In fact, this slower approach could actually be better for the franchise. Because after the disappointing performance of Snake Eyes, which only grossed $40 million on an $88 million budget, the brand needed some careful rebuilding. Jumping straight into another standalone G.I. Joe film might have felt risky. But by easing them back into the spotlight through crossovers, the studio can reignite excitement without putting all the pressure on one project. And once fans are reminded of how cool the Joes are, the appetite for a fourth main installment will naturally grow. It's worth remembering that the earlier movies, The Rise of Cobra and Retaliation, did pretty well financially. The first pulled in over $300 million worldwide, proving that the franchise can succeed at the box office. Even though the films had mixed reviews, audiences still showed up for the spectacle, the action, and the larger-than-life characters. So there's definitely a foundation to build on. Snake Eyes might have stumbled, but that doesn't erase the potential of the overall brand. Another big reason to feel positive about G.I. Joe 4 is that the characters themselves are timeless. The Joes are a team filled with personalities, skills, and backstories that can be expanded in so many directions. Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Duke, Storm Shadow, and Cobra Commander are names that fans recognize instantly, but there's a whole bunch of other characters from the toy line and comics that have never even appeared on screen. Bringing some of them in for a fresh lineup could give the next movie a brand new energy. And when you think about it, the timing couldn't be better. Superhero fatigue has started to creep into audiences, but people still love big ensemble action movies when they're done right. The Joes could easily fill that gap by offering a team-up that's rooted in military action, espionage, and sci-fi tech. It's a formula that feels different enough from what Marvel and DC are doing, while still delivering the blockbuster thrills audiences want. Samara Weaving's playful comments about wanting a Scarlet solo film also highlight another possibility: spin-offs. If Paramount really wants to expand the brand, they could give individual Joes their own movies in addition to team adventures. Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow are characters who could all carry their own films and then return for the big team-ups. That kind of strategy has worked wonders for other franchises, and it would definitely keep G.I. Joe fresh and versatile. And let's not forget the rumored G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant. Even though it hasn't been officially confirmed, it's still a project that keeps popping up in discussions about the franchise's future. If that film does get greenlit, it could end up being the long-awaited G.I. Joe 4, serving as a direct continuation of the mainline series. Pair that with the crossovers, and suddenly the franchise has multiple paths forward. Of course, some fans worry about continuity, since the 3 movies we've had so far don't always connect cleanly. The Rise of Cobra and Retaliation had one lineup of characters, while Snake Eyes was more of a reboot with a new cast. But that actually gives Paramount flexibility. They can choose whether to unify everything into one timeline or just treat each film as part of a larger multiverse of stories. Either way, audiences are used to reboots and alternate timelines these days, so it's not really a big problem. It may take a little patience, but it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.